From burnout to breakthrough, rediscovering joy in a world that never stops. Welcome to the Black CEO podcast, where we dive deep into the challenges and triumphs of modern entrepreneurship. I'm your host, and today we're in for a treat that's going to shake up everything you thought you knew about success, burnout, and the delicate art of living a fulfilled life. We recently had the incredible privilege of sitting down with Tanisha Naughton, a true luminary in the field of wellness and burnout recovery. Tanisha isn't just a coach, she's a visionary who's changing the game for career women everywhere. Her approach to burnout isn't just refreshing, it's revolutionary. She's not just helping women recover, she's empowering them to completely transform their lives. Tanisha's work is creating ripples that are turning into waves, reshaping how we think about success, self-care, and what it truly means to thrive in today's relentless world. Now, buckle up, because what I'm about to share with you isn't just another feel-good pep talk. It's a wake-up call, a challenge, and possibly the most important reality check you'll get this year. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Imagine this. You're sprinting on a treadmill. The speed keeps increasing, and you're desperately trying to keep up. Your lungs are burning, your muscles are screaming, but you can't stop because you're terrified of flying off the back. That, my friends, is what burnout feels like. It's exhausting, it's scary, and it feels like there's no way out. But here's where it gets interesting. What if I told you that the moment you feel like you're about to crash and burn is actually the beginning of something extraordinary? That's right. Burnout isn't the end of your story. It's the explosive start of a whole new chapter. Tanisha Naughton dropped this truth bomb during our interview, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. She said, burnout is not a sign of weakness. It's a loud, unmistakable signal from your mind, body, and soul that something fundamental needs to change. Let that sink in for a moment. How many of us have been conditioned to see burnout as a failure, as a sign that we're not tough enough, not dedicated enough, not whatever enough? Well, it's time to flip that script. Think back to the last time you felt truly alive. I'm talking about that buzzing energy, that sense of purpose that makes you want to jump out of bed in the morning. For many of us, that feeling has become as rare as a unicorn sighting. We've buried it under endless to-do lists, relentless responsibilities, and the constant pressure to hustle harder. But what if reclaiming that feeling isn't just possible, but essential for our well-being and success? What if the key to unlocking our full potential isn't pushing harder, but reconnecting with what truly lights us up? This is where Tanisha's approach gets really interesting, and honestly, a bit uncomfortable for those of us who've built our identities around the grind. She argues that the antidote to burnout isn't just rest or a vacation. It's about reconnection with joy, with play, with authenticity, and most importantly, with our inner child. Now, I know what you're thinking. Inner child, play. I'm a serious business person. I don't have time for that nonsense. Trust me, I had the same reaction. But stick with me, because this perspective might just change your life. Let's dive into the first crucial insight from my conversation with Tanisha. Burnout is a signal for change. It's not a dead end, but a crossroads. When we hit that wall of exhaustion, detachment, and cynicism, it's our body and mind screaming for a shift in how we approach life, work, and self-care. To illustrate this point, let me share a story that Tanisha told me about a group of professionals who are particularly susceptible to burnout: Black mental health professionals. A recent study found that these dedicated individuals are facing a double whammy of burnout and racial trauma. They're dealing with increased demands for counseling within the Black community while also processing their own experiences of racial stress. It's like being a firefighter who's constantly putting out fires while your own house is burning down. Talk about a recipe for burnout, right? But here's where it gets interesting. The study also found that those who had higher levels of social support, resilient coping mechanisms, and regular meetings with mentors experienced lower levels of burnout and racial trauma. This isn't just about taking a vacation or reducing workload. It's about fundamentally changing how we approach our work and our lives. So what does this mean for you? It means that when you feel burnout creeping in, it's time to pause and listen. What is your body trying to tell you? What aspects of your life or work are draining your energy instead of fueling it? This is your opportunity to reassess, realign, and perhaps even reinvent yourself. Now let's move on to Tanisha's second key point. Reconnection is the antidote to burnout. This is where things get really interesting and perhaps a bit uncomfortable for those of us used to the grind. Tanisha advocates for reconnecting with joy, play, and authenticity as the path out of burnout. She's not talking about forced team building exercises or mandated fun. She's talking about rediscovering what truly lights you up from the inside. Think back to when you were a child. What activities made you lose track of time? What made you feel fully alive and present? For some, it might have been drawing or coloring. For others, it could have been building things or solving puzzles. Maybe it was simply spending time in nature, marveling at the world around you. Now I can almost hear the objections. But I'm an adult now. I have responsibilities. I can't just go play all day yet. And you're right. But what if incorporating elements of play and joy into your life could actually make you more productive, more creative, and more resilient? Let me share another story from Tanisha's experience. She told me about a client, a black woman who had hit rock bottom with workplace burnout. This woman was the epitome of a high achiever, a perfectionist who was constantly pushing herself to the limit, neglecting self care in the process. Sound familiar? This woman's journey out of burnout wasn't about working less or taking a long vacation. It was about reconnecting with her authentic self. Through therapy and self work, she learned to set boundaries, develop healthy coping habits, and prioritize her own well being. The result? Not only did she overcome burnout, but she also improved her overall well being and performance at work. By reconnecting with activities that brought her joy, in her case, journaling and spending time in nature, she rediscovered her passion and purpose. This brings us to Tanisha's third crucial point. Self care is essential, and it's about much more than bubble baths and face masks. It's about taking the time to relearn who you are without shame or guilt. In our conversation, Tanisha emphasized that this journey of self discovery and self care is not selfish. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity, especially for those of us in high pressure, high stakes environments. She shared a comprehensive guide for managing and overcoming burnout, which includes strategies like tuning into your emotional landscape, establishing personal boundaries, and prioritizing physical well being. These aren't just feel good tips. Actually, they're practical tools for building resilience and maintaining balance in both personal and professional life. One strategy that particularly resonated with me is the idea of rediscovering life beyond work. As entrepreneurs and business leaders, it's easy to let our work become our entire identity, but when we do that, we're setting ourselves up for burnout. So, I challenge you to ask yourself, who am I outside of my work? What interests and passions have I neglected? What relationships have I let slide? Reconnecting with these aspects of yourself isn't just about feeling good. It's about becoming a more well rounded, resilient, and effective leader. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but I don't have time for all this self reflection and play. But here's the thing, you can't afford not to make time for it. The cost of burnout to your health, your relationships, your business is far too high. Tanisha suggests starting small. Maybe it's 5 minutes of journaling in the morning. Maybe it's taking a different route to work and really noticing your surroundings. Maybe it's calling an old friend you've lost touch with. These small acts of reconnection and self care can snowball into significant changes over time. Let's talk about another crucial aspect of overcoming burnout that Tanisha highlighted: the importance of support systems. Remember that study on Black mental health professionals we discussed earlier? One of the key findings was that social support and mentorship were crucial in mitigating burnout and racial trauma. This applies to all of us, regardless of our field. We need to cultivate relationships that support and nurture us. This might mean finding a mentor who's been where you are and can offer guidance. It might mean joining a peer support group of fellow entrepreneurs or leaders. Or it might simply mean being more intentional about nurturing your personal relationships. Tanisha emphasizes that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength and self awareness. It's recognizing that no one can do it all alone and that we're stronger when we support each other. Now, I want to circle back to something Tanisha said that really struck me. Burnout is not the end, it's the beginning of transformation. This perspective shift is powerful. It turns burnout from a dead end into a doorway, from a failure into an opportunity. Think about it. When we're in the depths of burnout, we're forced to confront aspects of our lives and ourselves that we've been ignoring. We're forced to reassess our priorities, our habits, our relationships. And while this process can be painful, it's also incredibly potent. Tanisha shared the story of her own journey through burnout. She described vividly remembering the day she hit her breaking point for the first time. She was juggling multiple roles: business owner, coach, friend, and feeling empty despite doing work she loved. She was exhausted, detached, and uninspired. But that breaking point wasn't the end, it was the beginning. She started small, journaling, drawing, playing music she loved, spending quiet moments outdoors. Slowly, she realized that the key to healing was reconnecting with the things that made her feel alive as a child. From there, she rebuilt her life and business, grounded in joy, creativity, and mindfulness. This story illustrates a crucial point. Overcoming burnout isn't just about getting back to where you were before. It's about emerging stronger, more self aware, and more aligned with your true self and values. Tanisha's approach, which she calls the Joyful Soul Project, blends mindfulness, creative play, and inner child work to help women reconnect with joy and balance. It's not about adding more to your to do list, but about simplifying and finding fulfillment in small, meaningful practices. This approach resonates deeply with me, and I hope it does with you too. Because here's the truth: in our pursuit of success, we often lose sight of what success really means. We push ourselves to the brink, sacrificing our health, our relationships, our joy, all in the name of achievement. But what's the point of achievement if we're too burnt out to enjoy it? Tanisha's message, and the message I want to leave you with today, is this: true success includes well being, it includes joy, it includes balance. And sometimes the path to that kind of success requires us to slow down, to reconnect, to play. So I want to challenge you. Over the next week, I want you to carve out time each day for something that brings you joy, something that has nothing to do with work or productivity. Maybe it's reading a book for pleasure. Maybe it's trying a new recipe. Maybe it's dancing in your living room to your favorite song. Whatever it is, do it without guilt, without trying to multitask, without thinking about how it will benefit your business. And as you do this, pay attention to how you feel. Notice if your energy shifts. Notice if you start to approach your work differently. Notice if new ideas start to flow more freely. Remember, this isn't about adding another task to your to do list. It's about giving yourself permission to reconnect with joy, with play, with your authentic self. It's about recognizing that these things aren't luxuries, they're essential for your well being and ultimately for your success. As we wrap up, I want to return to something Tanisha said that I think encapsulates this entire conversation. Taking time to relearn you without the shame and guilt is a journey, but in the end, the self love journey is worth it. This journey isn't always easy. It requires courage to face our burnout, to admit that something needs to change. It requires vulnerability to reconnect with our authentic selves, to let ourselves play and experience joy without worrying about productivity. And it requires persistence to make these changes stick, to prioritize our well being even when external pressures mount. But this journey is so, so worth it because on the other side of burnout isn't just recovery, it's transformation. It's a life and a career built on a foundation of joy, authenticity, and purpose. So, as we conclude this talk, I want to leave you with a challenge, a call to action that might just change your life. First, acknowledge where you are. Are you teetering on the edge of burnout? Are you already in its depths, or are you recovering but still feeling shaky? Wherever you are, recognize it without judgment. This is your starting point. Second, commit to one small act of joy or self care every day for the next 30 days. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's 5 minutes of meditation or listening to your favorite song or taking a walk around the block. The key is consistency and intentionality. Third, reach out, find your support system. This could be a friend, a mentor, a therapist, or a coach like Tanisha. Remember, asking for help isn't weakness, it's a sign of strength and self awareness. Fourth, start reimagining success. What would your life and career look like if joy, balance, and well being were non negotiable parts of your definition of success? Dream big and don't let your current reality limit your vision. Finally, share your journey. As you start to implement these changes, as you start to reconnect with your joy and purpose, share your experiences. Your story could be the catalyst that someone else needs to start their own journey of transformation. Remember, burnout is not the end of your story. It's not a sign of weakness or failure. It's an invitation to transform, to reconnect, to rediscover your joy and your purpose. You have the power to rewrite your story. You have the power to create a life and a career that energizes you rather than depletes you. You have the power to reconnect with your authentic self, to prioritize your well being, to find success that includes joy and balance. The journey starts now with a single step. Maybe it's 5 minutes of journaling. Maybe it's a walk in nature. Maybe it's a heart to heart conversation with a friend. Whatever it is, take that step and then take another and another. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Reach out for support when you need it. Be kind to yourself. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it might seem. And always, always remember that you are worthy of a life filled with joy, purpose, and authentic success. Not despite your struggles with burnout, but because of them. These challenges are shaping you, teaching you, preparing you for a level of success and fulfillment beyond what you've imagined. So let's embrace this journey together. Let's redefine success to include well being. Let's create businesses and lives that are not just productive, but joyful. Let's transform burnout from an ending into a powerful new beginning. The world needs your energy, your creativity, your unique gifts. But more than that, it needs you, the authentic, joyful, fully alive you. So go forth, reconnect with your joy, and let's change the world. One moment of play, one act of self care, one redefined success story at a time. Your journey to authentic success and well being starts now. What will your first step be? Thank you.